you can just get a light bulb fixture like what you'd find in your basement, those little white ceramic ones, and you can have that wired in so you can plug it into an outlet. Something like a 100-watt light bulb would probably get the temperature up higher once the lid's closed. To be able to insert the clubs from the top, create some narrow slits, probably about 3/8 of an inch wide, probably not much wider than that, just enough to have the shafts slide through so the heads can be inside the drying box while the rest of the shaft and the grip are outside. And put the slit maybe about halfway down inside the box. And that should pretty much do it. It will work on our epoxies, or for that matter, any of them. I don't have a magic number, but I think with a 100-watt light bulb, you might be able to take as much as 6 hours out of the cure time. It might make it set up in full cure in 18 hours. So I hope that answers your question. If not, you can email me, and maybe I've got something in my files that I can send to you.
That's great. Jeff, go on to the last slide there, and folks can see your email. Okay, we got another question here from John, and it's regarding your favorite subject, curing, Jeff. Silkscreen is not always available. It's not always located uniformly in relation to where spine is on the shaft. Are you suggesting that curing is not as desirable as advertised by many firms?
Well, that's going to be up to the customer. You have to understand that the average consumer has no clue what puring, spining, anything is. They're more concerned with cosmetics. If you don't explain that the silk screen is not going to be up, because they'll go into like a pro shop, or they're looking at their buddies' clubs, and all the silk screens are nice and neatly in a uniform manner up relative to the toe of the club, and they see that the silk screens are haphazardly put on, they're going to think you did a poor job assembling the club. So that's always going to be up to you, but there's no way of getting around it other than explaining to the customers that they're going to look on the unusual side.
All right, good. We've got a good question here from Bob, which I've wondered too. Please comment on shelf life and proper storage of epoxy. Can we expect larger bottles of epoxy to perform well for a year or more? Is refrigeration recommended if we have periods of non-use?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I did forget to mention that. Usually the epoxies have, at least from the component suppliers, will have a one-year shelf life. I know Hirekos, we order just enough so that they're not on the shelves, and plus we make sure that whatever comes in first is sold first, so it's rotated. So again, it's not sitting on the shelf too long. When you get it, what I would do is take a piece of tape or take a Sharpie pen or something and mark the date that you got on the bottle. And that way you'll have a reference. The 1 year is just a general guideline. You might be able to get a little bit more, but after 1 year, it starts to depreciate in its strength. After 2 years, I wouldn't use it anymore for golf club assemblies, even putters. I might use it for like household stuff, and that's it. But storage, I wouldn't put it in the refrigeration, because when you mix it, it's going to be thicker, and plus you want the ambient temperature that it's drying at to be, roughly 77 degrees, so it'll take longer for it to heat up. Just put it in like a dark place or somewhere out of the direct sunlight, and you should be good. Did I get all of them?
That's it. He was talking about refrigeration and shelf life. You answered it all. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so John asked the question, do quick-set epoxies need 24 hours to cure?
Yeah, that was the part I was talking about before, where if you had a pot life of 1 minute, the epoxy sets in 5 minutes, you can hit a ball in 30 minutes. It still may take the remainder of the 23 hours and 30 minutes for full cure to take place. We get a lot of, or I get a lot of customers on the tech line that say, well, I'm looking at your fast-setting epoxy I bought from Hireko, and it says full cure in 24 hours. I'm confused. Well, that's because it still continues to cure, even though it's hard enough to hit a ball, hopefully, without coming loose. The longer you wait, though, the stronger the bond occurs.
All right, good. John asked the question as a follow-up on the curing time, or on the shelf life. What is typical shelf life at Hirekos, and does that significantly affect remaining time at my location?
No, I'd say we buy small enough batches and replenish them quite often that the 1 year is really the date that you would probably, once we ship it to you, it's one date after you receive it, not after we receive it. There's a little bit of give and take. It's not exactly 365 days. That's just a general guideline.
All right, good. He also asked, and that also depends on the time from the manufacturer, if it's sitting at the manufacturer's shelf.
It doesn't. Actually, all the epoxy, it's at least I know from our standpoint, it's made to order. It doesn't sit on any shelves at the packaging place.
All right, good. All right, if no one has any other questions, it looks like that we're all cleared up here. I'd like to thank you for attending this webinar. Be on the lookout for an email with a link to a recording of this webinar, complete with Jeff's vocals, presentation, and the slides. Also, check us out at our blog.hirekogolf.com, and we are also on Facebook and Twitter. In about 1 hour, this webinar will be up on youtube.com/HirekoGolf. That's youtube.com/Hirekogolf. And I think that's it. Anything else, Jeff?
Nope. I just want to thank everybody for attending today.
Great. Thanks, everybody, and goodbye.